All right. All right. So this is our second session of the series for the mentorship program for the Salesforce. And I will be start getting into a little bit more detail about the more specifications that I've planned for this program, related to related to how you can actually become a Salesforce consultant, or if you're already a Salesforce consultant, how you can expand and become more engaged and evolve as a more senior Salesforce consultant, developer, architect, whichever area of expertise you want to go in. So, so today's session is we will starting from pretty basic, which means that we will discuss about how to actually start the journey in the Salesforce. What is the first steps? And again, I know there will be a lot of audience who already have started their journey, or maybe they are already working in Salesforce. So again, they can probably see if there is something new or helpful for them. I hope to add more and more content, or they can basically look into our future sessions where we can talk about more advanced stuff. So with that, I can start with a very basic foundational understanding of Salesforce, what it is, and what are you getting into yourself if you're already not aware of it. So Salesforce is basically a CRM system, first of all, which stands for customer relationship management or data management system, which means that primarily it is utilized for storing a customer information. So just as an example, if you are, let's say, utilizing any services like Verizon, or you are utilizing any subscription services like Amazon, what you do is normally fill out a form, and that information goes to the customer. Now, how they store the information, that is up to individual customer, and the software that used to store this information, that is dubbed as a CRM system, which is customer relationship database management system. Basically, if you think about on a very basic level, what Salesforce is a very advanced Excel sheet. Okay, when a system or a business starts from very humble beginning, typically, as anybody else, they start using or utilizing like an Excel or a Google Sheet these days, which is more online version of Excel to start off, which means that you have like one tab in an Excel, and then you start adding the names of your customers, probably the date, what they buy, if you want to collect more information like their phone numbers, maybe you are getting some email addresses, and then so on and so forth. And then once the customer comes back, and let's say they buy more product, you need to add that information into that Excel sheet so that you have the updated information. Now think about it, it can very quickly start getting complex, because for example, if the customer comes back and you are offering something which is of monthly basis, now you need to also track if they have made their payments, right? And then if not, then you need to take necessary actions to send them reminders so that they can make the payments. If you're offering any support services, then they might, based on their different levels that they have purchased, they need to also able to understand what level of services they can receive. So all of that information needs to go into the Excel, and that Excel very quickly start becoming very challenging. Also think about it, if you're working in an environment where you're not working directly with the B2C, which is like business to consumer. So consumer is a normal people like us who buy a product, like Amazon directly deal with the third party, so their product. But there are a huge number of companies who deals with business to business. So for example, my company work with, let's say, another business and sell Salesforce services, or we sell a product which is utilized by another business. Now, in that case, we also need to take account of the business and then who we are dealing within that business. So now we got another component, which is now we also need to know who is the client, but what is their company name, and then what product they are buying, and then what are the opportunities that they're buying, which is like whatever they're looking to buy. Now, one client with the company that they're working may able to come back and buy multiple products, and from the same company, multiple people can buy multiple products. Now, taking that account into one Excel or multiple tabs within Excel become and overwhelming. That's why when the business start and then they start with something very basic in Excel, very quickly they will run out of the ideas that how to really understand this information. So they need to go into a more defined CRM system. And there are multiple CRM systems, some basic ones, some more advanced. One of the very popular SMB, which is small business for small and medium-sized businesses or nonprofit, is also another CRM called Zoho. So which is a little bit more easy to use, more cookie cutter solution. So a lot of people can start from there. However, not just Zoho, but a couple of other like a Sugar CRM and a couple other CRMs, they are very good to start. But again, same thing, if you want to make a lot of customization, they have limitations. So for an organization who have a particular system defined, they always need systems which can be customized according to their needs. And that's why Salesforce is one of those platforms which can be highly customizable, as well as at the same time, they come with a lot of basic functionalities as a cookie cutter solution that you can start off. So a business who is kind of starting, they can deploy Salesforce from the get-go, which means that they don't need to switch the system whenever they grew or they become more complicated, because Salesforce can cater small businesses, nonprofit, as well as a very big enterprise level system. So just to give you an example of big systems and small systems is, for example, we have deployed systems for companies as small as 3 people. So there are like 3 people who are basically working on a product, and they have B2B clients. So we deploy for them 3 users. We design a system for them with some small modifications, and they're good to go. When we go to like a really big enterprise level system, think about Amazon, think about the government areas, think about Verizon, think about Dish, think about Amazon, or think about Netflix, think about all of those systems. They have, in most cases, they have millions of customers. And then those customers, in a lot of cases, are iterative customers, or they are coming back and purchasing different stuff. At the same time, they have different memberships. They have the same tiers. They are returning the products. And the things can become complex and complex and complex. So Salesforce is one of those CRM systems, which is a cloud-based system, and they can handle super complex customer database. And then they can also enhance and able to start talking with other tools that a company is using. So we are getting into another point, which is like now you can able to connect other system into Salesforce. So again, keeping our focus just on Salesforce for now is just to give you a basic idea that Salesforce is a system which is a sort of a very advanced Excel system where you store a database or store an information so that people can start using it. And people can able to understand their customer trends, what they're buying. When you have interacted with them, if you're different salespeople, they can able to go and update the information on individual records, so that if you want to know that which customer is in pipeline, have they bought something, which are in, how can you predict the Q2, Q3, Q4 pipelines, things of that nature, you can easily able to do that. So that is a very basic understanding of what CRM system is. Now, how to learn CRM system, because I can imagine a lot of people who join these sessions are aspiring Salesforce consultant. So either you are already in a Salesforce ecosystem or you are aspiring to become a Salesforce consultant. So again, same thing, we'll try to focus more on the learning pattern, how do you learn it, and how you can become a seasonal Salesforce consultant, so you can grow your career in a certain direction. So in terms of starting and understanding the Salesforce, there are multiple roles. So in Salesforce, there are multiple roles, because Salesforce, the way it works is you will work as a team, and then you work for a particular client, or you will maybe hired by a particular client as their team, and then you can develop a particular business processes in the Salesforce, and then their teams can start utilizing it, right? So you will be basically the team who will build the system, again, not from the scratch. As I said, a lot of functionalities and systems are come in built in Salesforce. So it's not something which is kind of like a basic language where if you want to build a system using Python or C or Java or any other language, you need to basically build from a scratch. There are some libraries and stuff available, but still they do not come in a more packaged solution. Salesforce comes as a package, which is kind of ready to go. But again, as a use case evolve, you need to make changes. You need to mix and match to just follow the process of a particular client, and you can either work for the client directly or you work for an integration partner, a Salesforce partner, and they can able to support this change process. So with that understanding, you can get an idea that when there is a team, what is a Salesforce team comprised of? So a typical Salesforce team comprised of, the first one is sort of a leader, which is like a project manager. So typically, if you're working on a project, you will have a project manager who is more of a functional leader, which means that the project manager responsibilities include understanding the process, sort of build a team, talk to the customer, come up with the budget, come up with the deadlines, come up with the meetings, come up with the process. So he will make sure that the project will execute, the project will proceed, and the project will close in a certain timeline with a certain budget, and then basically manage the whole project, manage the technical team, but also at the same time talk to the customer and make sure your team has all the information they need in order to build the system, and also at the same time provide updates, regular updates to the customer, so they also know that what is going on. Also arrange demos, things of that nature. So that role is, and I can start throwing some terminologies as well. So this is more of a functional role. So the functional role, and there are two main types of role in Salesforce: functional and technical. So functional is again something which is a person who is doing more of a communication, management, things of that nature. They may or may not directly getting into Salesforce and doing like a more technical activities, right? So they are more functional roles. So PM is sort of a functional role, but always good to have a PM who knows Salesforce, how it works. So if somebody has a Salesforce technical knowledge, basic one, again, they don't need to be a developer, they don't need to be an architect, but if they have the basic knowledge of Salesforce, they have worked on Salesforce for some time, it would be nice to have that kind of project manager, because they can easily talk to their team, because the team is highly technical as well as the customer, so they can able to deliver the right information to the customer. So that's a PM who leads the team. Then you have your Salesforce developers, or Salesforce admin, or configuration people. So what is the difference between Salesforce admin or configurators versus the developers? So as I said, Salesforce comes with two flavors. One is it does come with a lot of functionalities that you can configure. And when I say configure, and I keep repeating this terminology, which means that you may able to do some checkbox, you may able to write something, but without actually writing a code. So without writing a piece of code, you can able to do a lot of things. Again, some of them are just a checkbox. Some of them can involve a little bit more technical knowledge. Like, for example, you can create different type of flows, some business processes and things of that nature. But again, you're not literally writing a code. So as long as you're not writing a piece of code, so in Salesforce, you can write a piece of code. There are different Salesforce own language, Apex, that you can use. We'll talk about that in a second. But basically, as long as you are doing some clicks, you understand how things are working, and then you can create some flows and stuff and reports, dashboards, anything that does not require actual coding, you will be known as an admin or configurator. So you can do a lot of configuration in Salesforce, and based upon the different clouds, there are some clouds where you can do really a lot of stuff just by configuration, and you don't really need to do a lot of code development. But there are points then when if a client need a certain thing, a certain business process that may or may not be able to be achieved via configuration, that's where you actually jump to another role, which is a Salesforce developer. So anytime you need to make a code change, you need to write something which cannot be done via available features, then you need a developer who needs to obviously write a piece of code to achieve whatever is needed. Now, keep in mind that in some cases, the developers also able to perform everything what an admin or a configurator can perform, because they're already able to write a code, but they start with learning all the features. So a developer is somebody who can do both. Admins or configurators are limited because they can only do configuration part, but they cannot able to write a code. So just by looking at that, you can imagine that there is a high demand for developers compared to admin or configurator, but that doesn't mean that you don't need admins or configurator. You do, but in a small number, especially once the system is all set up and system is ongoing. For the regular upgrade or the regular maintenance and regular stuff, you may need an admin, but you can imagine their numbers are relatively very small compared to the developers, because developers can do both. So they can able to write a code and they can also do configuration. So the higher demand is obviously, as you can understand, for the developers. Moving forward, once develop a code or you do a configuration, then you need another person, which is called QA, which is a quality assurance person. So again, quality assurance person is also kind of necessary, and I'm only talking about the most necessary, most basic roles. There will be a lot of roles that are evolving in Salesforce. We'll just stick to the main basic ones, and then in our future sessions, we'll talk about more. So the QA person, what they does is basically their responsibilities. Once a functionality feature case is resolved, they actually do a testing. And there are two types of testing. One is called manual testing, and one is called automation testing. Back in the days, or even now, a lot of companies actually perform both, which means that you can actually go into the feature and you try to click or do whatever it's supposed to do and see if that works, and they write a test case, and then they can go back and test it. And every time, if they're making changes in different environments, they keep doing testing. So that is more like a manual testing. In many organizations, they also adopted something called automation testing, which runs on different tools, and they create a script, they write a query, and then it will be automatically doing the testing piece, which means that now you need to have some basic, sort of very basic querying capabilities or understanding, which if you know like an SQL or some basic query language, you can able to learn that QA part very quickly. There are different tools which are utilized like Cucumber, Selenium, and all that. So there is a demand for QAs as well. But again, the demand for the manual QAs are basically shrinking, as the reason is because a lot of companies are adopting these automation tools so that they can able to provide more automation. So that's a QA piece. Again, if you know Salesforce, if you have a couple of certifications and you also want to get into Salesforce and you like the QA piece, or at least that could be your gateway getting into the Salesforce, you can also look into the Salesforce idea. Or maybe if you are a QA in a different technology that you are working right now, and if you want to get into Salesforce, so you can leverage your understanding and experience of QA and get into Salesforce. All right, moving on, after QA, you have an architect. Now, not every project need an architect, but you do have, you should have an oversight of an architect on every project, regardless of the size of the project. And again, as the name suggests, what architect does is basically when you're starting a project, architect review the requirements. They provide like a high-level blueprint of the project. How it should work? What are the features we will be using? Can we do this using available features? Do we need to do some development? So he is somebody who is basically architecting the whole solution for you. Even in architects, there are different types of architects. There's the two main types of architects. There are multiple other types of architects, but the two main architects to understand from the basic point of view is solution architect and technical architect. So solution architect is the one who can sort of define the solution, that okay, this is what we need, this cloud we need, this integration we need, these are the different objects, do we need to create this one, that one? So he will create like a rough overview of the system, like a blueprint of a system, and then he will pass that information to the team, and then team will build upon it. If they stuck somewhere more technically, and if this is a little bit more complex project, then you engage the technical architect. So technical architect is the one who can help you with actually developing that solution. So solution architect define the solution, give you the pathway, how does it work, sort of create the blueprint, and when you're actually implementing and you're hitting the roadblocks or something is not working, at that point in time, you can able to use the able to utilize the services of technical architect. So technical architect can be super helpful as well. And then pretty much the last but not the least, a very critical role is a business analyst. So what is business analyst? So as the name suggests, he's a person who is a kind of a bridge between the client and the technical team, which means that when you are working with the client, as I said, every business is different, even though if you're talking about the exact same business. So for example, if you talk to a business who work in a healthcare system, provide services, for example, B2B services to clinics, right? To doctors. Both of them provide the same insurance services to them. They deal with the doctors. Sounds like exact same process, right? But when they actually goes into the detail, their process might be slightly different than the next one. How they interact with the customer, how they log their information, what are the different points they collect, how they close a deal, what is their way of collecting the billings, how their way of collecting the missed billing, things of that nature. So slightly different ways how they can move it. So for each customer, you need to understand how they are doing their process. And if you need to replicate that process, so business analyst is a person who is sort of a techno-functional role. Now, techno-functional is somebody who knows and communicate with the client, as well as he have enough knowledge that he can work with the customer as well. Make sure everybody is on a mute as soon as they join. And if you get off the mute, please go ahead and get onto the mute right away. So basically that person is a bridge between the technical team and the client. So he works with the client, understand what they're looking for, and translate that information, which is in a more, it's a very layman term, because customer will tell you, I need a button which can do this, right? Now, when you transfer that information to a developer, he need a little bit more specification, and they need to know a little bit more technically what needs to be done. So that's why a business analyst can be super successful if they have Salesforce knowledge, if they have few Salesforce certifications, and maybe in the past, if they have worked as a configurator or a Salesforce admin, that would be super helpful, because now they understand what client is trying to achieve, and then how can it achieve on a very high level. Again, they don't need to design a system. They don't need to know how it will be done. They just need to understand what does it really mean by in Salesforce. Does it mean to create an object? Does it mean to create a field? Does it mean to create a report, dashboard, a flow, something basic? They don't need to actually know how that flow gonna work or who will create it. Do you need one flow, 10 flow? The business analyst doesn't need that if they know it very well and nice. But if by virtue of a role, you don't really need to know it, as long as you know what needs to be done. So that business analyst is also a very, very good and desired position. Now, this business analyst is also sort of a functional role, but I would say this is like a techno-functional, because they also kind of interact very heavily with the technical team. So business analysts, in most cases, when they progress in their chart, they can become project managers. Project managers, when they grew in their role, they become program managers, meaning they're managing multiple projects or multiple teams or maybe multiple clients. And when the program manager further goes up, they can become like a lead, who are basically managing a particular area of the business, or in some cases, they can just manage the whole development or a Salesforce practice. So that is a very nice progression from a business analyst. You can be like an admin, and then you can become a business analyst. You can become a senior business analyst. In between, depending upon the client or consulting firm you're working, there's one additional role that I would like to mention, is called Scrum Master. Again, we will have a separate session for Scrum. What does it mean, and what does Agile mean? Because in Salesforce, the SDLC cycle, the cycle through which we create these and make the changes and build the thing, is follow a very particular way of doing things, which we'll discuss in our next session. And I would also like to know that I have invited one of a very senior Agile coach or a Scrum coach who actually provide trainings to actual Salesforce team members. So he will be joining us next week, and we'll defining some of these terminologies and how you can learn that. So that particular role is called Scrum Master. And that Scrum Master role is, again, it's not technical role, it's a non-technical role. You can get a Scrum Master certification, you can get Salesforce certification, and then you can become a Salesforce Scrum Master. And what their role is, the team that I just defined you, typically they meet every single day for, let's say, 30 minutes. First 15 minutes, they talk about all the updates. Next 15 minutes or 10 minutes, they talk about any other roadblocks. And then they will kind of make sure that when they are going from sprint to sprint, each sprint is just 2 to 3 weeks long or 4 weeks long. Ideally, it's 2 weeks long. So every 2 weeks, they can achieve certain tasks and then they can move on to the next one. So the Scrum Master basically either manages one team. In some cases, they can manage 2 or 3 teams as well. And that role is also sort of a very integral role if you are working in a Scrum environment where you're managing the teams. Same thing is sometimes the Scrum Master can be a role who is be performed by a business analyst. In some case, that be performed by a project manager. So some of these roles are kind of interchangeable, but in an ideal environment, you can have like a separate Scrum Master, a separate project manager, a separate QA, and separate business analyst. In technical roles, obviously, you have a developer. Developer can start obviously as a junior developer or an admin in some cases. They can become junior developer, they can become senior developer, they can become lead developer. Again, lead developer is the one who is managing multiple projects, multiple teams, multiple junior developers, helping them achieve their tasks. Wherever they're stuck, they go to their senior or a lead developer. And then once you want to go to the next level, that is an architect level. In architect, again, same thing. Most of the developers, they tend to become a more technical architect rather than solution architect, because if you are more in a business analyst and things like that, and if you want to become an architect rather than you want to pursue a path of a project manager, you can become a solution architect, which means that in a lot of cases, again, it's not necessary. There's no specific rule defined around it. However, you can able to become a solution architect without actually writing a code, which means that as long as you know the features, as long as you understand the features in detail, all the new features, old features, how they work, how things will work, and you are maybe not a coder, you can still become a solution architect, right? Which is amazing, right? So you can have a path that you can become an admin, you can become a BA, senior BA, maybe PM, or directly you can jump as a solution architect. However, the technical architect is a very hands-on developer, senior person who can able to help in a code where they stuck, things of that nature. So basically, if you're a senior developer and if you stick to the sort of a technical route, the next level would be an architect, which is more like a technical architect. And then from that point onwards, you have multiple architecture certifications. You can achieve some of those certifications. And then if you really want to get to the top of the technical ladder, which is called CTA, which is Certified Technical Architect, which is the top tier. I believe last time I checked, there are not more than 200 plus CTAs overall in the system. So it's again very premier position. If you're a CTA, a lot of those people either build their own companies or they work for really big organizations like IBM or Big Four and things like that. Again, on a very, very high-end positions, working directly with the enterprise level clients or managing a lot of big teams and things of the nature. But feel free to find some CTAs in the LinkedIn and try to add them and get inspired and see how they can get to there, because that is like a top tier certification that you can achieve in Salesforce system. So that's a little bit about Salesforce. Coming back to the role, like if you're starting right now and you don't know where to start, so the first area that you can get into is as a Salesforce admin slash business analyst slash Scrum Master. So these three roles are kind of easy to get in. The admin role, so in Salesforce system, just to give you a perspective, that in Salesforce, there are two types of positions or jobs that you can get. One is working for a Salesforce partner. For example, my company, Unboxx Technologies, is also a Salesforce and MuleSoft partner. And for example, like Big Fours, Deloitte, Accenture's, and all of those big Four, they all have a Salesforce wing. And what we do is basically when somebody buy a Salesforce license, either Salesforce or us are approached by the client and we review their thing and we provide their services where we can able to build a system for them. So you can able to get a job with the Salesforce partners, which is again very, very nice for learning perspective, because you will be working on multiple projects at the same time. You will be working on diverse clouds as well. And it's a very fast-paced environment. You learn pretty quickly. The other type of jobs you can get is with the end client as well. So for example, if a bank or a pharmaceutical company or a small business have deployed Salesforce, in many cases, they also hire Salesforce consultant directly under their own IT team. And then you will be just working for that particular bank or a client or a small, medium-sized business, and then just managing, maintaining, enhancing, building their system. That is also a very good position. So these two are the main area where you can work. In terms of if you're an admin, in some cases, it's easier to get a position with a direct client. However, with the consulting partners, they may bring you on as an admin if you have basic information, but their intent is for you to become very quickly, either become a business analyst or maybe become a developer. In that case, you can able to do whatever an admin can do and a lot more. So you can think about these three roles. And again, for anything that I'm saying, you can make a note and always go to YouTube and start searching and do your own research. So the three roles that you can target if you're starting in Salesforce is Salesforce admin, Salesforce business analyst, and Scrum Master as well. And of course, the developer is right there. If you have a development background, that would be an ideal situation to start. However, same thing like all the other roles are equally important. But the developer part is hands down the most requested, more required position in Salesforce because the developer can do, I would say, still 70 to 80% of everything if you're working on a small project rather than if you're working on a bigger project, then you need all the different roles. But on a very basic environment, this person can do a lot. So these are the different roles you can target. Now I will talk a little bit about where to start. Let's say you are kind of struggling and you don't know, okay, I'm very enthusiastic, I'm very pumped up, as we call it. And you know,
successful man, there is woman.
Sorry. So basically, if you want to become Salesforce consultant, you're super enthusiastic, you know, and you're ready to go, ready to jump in. But okay, where should I start? Or you have been looking into multiple areas, but you're not sure how to go about it. Give me one sec. That is something I'm going to talk about it today. And hopefully I have another friend of mine. He will also be joining in maybe 30 minutes, so he can also able to show you some other add-on things that can be super helpful if you're a beginner. So with starting that, what I do first is I can share you some of the content that you need to go through, and then later on I can share some resources that you can able to utilize, both paid and unpaid. So first of all, can anybody confirm if you can able to see a PDF that I'm sharing, which is called Training Course Outline?
Yeah, I can see.
Perfect, thank you. Awesome. So basically, in Salesforce, when you're starting, this is the basic like 10 areas that you can focus. Again, it can expand from this point onwards, but if you want to learn Salesforce one-on-one, and you want to become anything in Salesforce, this is something that you always start with. So let's say you want to become a developer, you want to become an admin, you want to become a project manager, you want to become a data architect in Salesforce, you want to become a technical architect in Salesforce, or out of those roles or out of many other roles that you can achieve in Salesforce, even if you want to become a salesperson in Salesforce, right? If you want to go into a business development side, right, which we haven't talked about it because right now we are focusing a little bit on technical side. But even if you want to become a salesperson, a business development person in Salesforce, this is your Salesforce 101, right? Which means that if you know this in slightly detail, you can able to understand Salesforce very nicely, and you can able to make a lot of sense. If anybody is discussing even a technical terminology, you can able to get it, right? So these are 10 basic points that I will talk about on a high level. And again, I will share you different resources that how you can learn. So let's talk about them quickly, and then I'll share some resources that you can go for. So the first thing is Salesforce setup, which means that how does Salesforce, how do you really set up a Salesforce, right? Which means that what does the interface look like? How does it appear? And I can show you, like, I give you a sneak peek of Salesforce very quickly as well, but how does it look like? What does it mean by setting up a person? Because you will have different users when you build a system and give it to the customer, then their admins will comes in and they will manage it, right? So you will set up those admins, set up the users who are actually going to use the Salesforce, and then you have end customers who will basically maybe interact with your system. But basically, when we say users, which means that anybody who is using the Salesforce license within the system, who is logging into the Salesforce and then using it. So for example, if you implement a Salesforce system in a bank, basically you will have an IT person who has like an admin rights. And let's say if you work in a bank, then he will give you a user ID and password. So the admin will give you a user ID password. Now you will be utilizing a license, which means that your company is paying for that license. Salesforce obviously have a license fee, which goes like per month, per year. So for example, they buy a particular type of number of licenses for all their internal team. So let's say if there are 10 team members in your branch of a bank, then they need a 10 licenses for them. Each license will cost them X amount of dollars. So the admin will create a license for you, a user ID password, you log in, and let's say now you will, when customer comes in, you take their information. Let's say you are a loan officer, a person comes in, you take their information and add it, and then next one, next one. So you are actually a Salesforce user, and then your customer who is actually providing the information is the end customer. They do not have access to inside Salesforce. Only the ones who have the Salesforce license, work for a company, have access. So how do you differentiate that? What does it mean by sandbox and production and all that basic stuff? So you will go through a Salesforce setup understanding, and then you will right away get into a data modeling, because as I just explained like 2 minutes back, that as soon as you get into Salesforce, the first thing you need is to set up the data. Like you need to understand what information you will be collecting from your customers, right? So for example, you need to collect the personal information. You also need to collect the information, what are they purchasing? You also need to get information about the pricing, things of that nature, go on and go and so forth. So you need to understand what that data model looks like. And a basic understanding of data model, again, bring us down to an Excel model where if you are taking information, first of all, you create different fields that I need to collect a name, I need to collect an email, maybe phone number, address, and then I need to collect an information about what they're buying. So does it make sense if I create a separate tab and just have that information about what they're buying, maybe different list of a product, and then I can just take the first name of that product and just put in front of that person. So I don't need to put everything here, and I can have a separate tab for this one. Same thing, so on and so forth. So what that data model looks like, and data model is, to understand very simply, is basically all your fields and what are the different tabs you are creating, why are you creating different tabs, can that information be collected in the first tab, second tab, third tab, what that fields looks like. So just setting up all that information is basically, you will understand in the data modeling. And when you are creating data modeling, you also need to understand different fields. For example, a name is a field, right? What that field type is, which means that is it like an alphanumeric information? Is it just some only alphabets? Obviously, name is just a text field. Maybe you need to collect their email address. That's an email field. If you need to collect a date when something is purchased or when they become your client, that's a date field. So you need to understand different type of the field, because you don't want the wrong information. Like if you have a date, you don't want like a text information in there, because that will screw your database. So that's a high level understanding, but again, it's a very detailed topic about the data modeling. How do you set up? There's a different relationship. So as I said, if you have different tabs and different information are related with each other, they will have a relationship. So these are also available in Salesforce. So you need to understand the relationship. And this is again something, if you are already a student of computer science, or if you already have worked on any other kind of an IT related thing, you probably very easy for you to catch up, because every database has relationships, and they're kind of similar thing, which applies into Salesforce. That's a topic number 2. And then you have a topic about calculations and validations, which means that when you're entering the information, it will need to do a lot of calculation. You need different formulas. You need to create different validations that this information should not be correct or wrong. So just an example. If you want somebody to input a credit card information, you want them to input 16 digits, right? That's a standard 16 digit. If somebody add 17 digits, or they leave like 15 digits, then you don't take that information. So you ask them to, can you please correct it? And I'm sure everybody has understand that piece of it where I see some hands. I'll come back to the questions after that. So if you see those information, so those are called validations. If in the field which require you to input a date, but you actually input a text, it won't take that information and keep giving you that red line that, hey, can you update this information? I'm sure every single you of you have used or update some form online where if you put a wrong information, it don't take it, right? Or if you put a date which is in the past, it won't take it. Let's say if you are booking something and you book something for the past, it should give you a validation error. So all of these examples I'm showing you, can you mute your phone? I think some new folks have joined.
Yeah.
Okay, one sec. Okay. So basically, if you have joined, if you have, sorry, if you have basically have any field where you need a validation, so that's all called validation. So make sure that the information is correct format, correct number of characters. It could be number of type of field, whatever that is, or you need to sum them up into like one summary field or whatever that is. So they all of these like topics come into a calculation and validations. All right. Then the next topic is Salesforce interface, which means that when you have a page, like there will be different interfaces in Salesforce, different pages, layout, views, and all that good stuff. So you just need to understand and practice and create to see what are the different interfaces. So this is like a topic of its own, which is called Salesforce interface. Moving on is your Salesforce security. Now in Salesforce, as you can imagine, I gave you an example of a bank. Let's say if you implement a system for a particular, like a bank, we'll just take it a branch. So in the branch, you have different roles, right? You have a manager, then you have maybe like a team members who are working, maybe an IT team person who is managing the Salesforce. So now you have different roles. So for example, admin who is managing the system, he has pretty much all the rights because he's managing the system. So he can able to add a new person, delete a person, so on and so forth. He can do a lot of stuff and he can kind of manage the system. So he has a separate type of security, which is pretty much on a very high level and very top level, and he can do a lot of things that not everybody can do it. Then you have a manager. So for example, manager can able to see all the data. So which means that let's say you have two groups working in your branch or a department, right? One is dealing with the customer on a day-to-day transactions, and one team is dealing with the loans, right? So technically what you want is, what a customer want is that all the team members within the loan, they can able to see all the loan information, but they should not able to see what's going on the transaction side on a daily basis. Same thing, the transaction team members, let's say there are 4 team members, they all can able to see all the information related to transaction, if customers are getting in, out, whatever, but they should not able to see the loan information, right? So this is called security, but the manager can able to see both type of records. They can able to see what is going on in the loan, and they can also able to see what's going on here. And then you have an admin who can actually able to see pretty much everything. On top of it, he can able to kind of kick somebody out, get somebody in, remove access, add access, whatever you need to do. So he's more of an IT person and an admin person, and you could be that admin for that particular bank if you are working there as a Salesforce consultant. So you could be that person as an admin, but rest of the people will be more SME on their own roles, and they can do that. So again, there's a whole suite of different things that you need to go through, how to do that and things. So that's a very kind of, each of them is a very vast topic, but I'm just giving you like an overall view, because my thinking process is, whenever I try to learn something, I try to see what is the boundary, what I'm up against, what I need to learn, so that I can make my targets, I can make my milestones. If I just start with something and I don't even know what I'm about to learn, is it going to be like 10 pages or 100 pages or 1,000 pages or 10 topics, 20 topics, 50 topics? I don't even able to make a plan. So I'm just giving you this rundown. Again, it might be sounding, oh, I don't know any of these. I'm sure if you are not, you don't. But the main thing is just to go through the content that you need as a basic Salesforce R 101. Next thing is after security is whenever you have your data inside the Salesforce, now you also need to manage the data on an ongoing basis, which means that in a lot of cases, when you build a Salesforce system, and let's say the company is using some other system or maybe Excel or some other CRM system or a locally built system, you have a lot of data for 10 years. Now you need to move the data into Salesforce before you actually kick off the services and go live. How do you do that? How do you move that ton of data into Salesforce? So that's one. How do you manage your data? Same thing, if the data is there and you need to make some backups, how do you do that? What is your backup process? Do you use like a third party or whatever that is? Also, in a lot of cases, a lot of companies use data which is bring from outside sources. So, for example, if you work for a marketing company, they obviously have their own customers which are adding, but let's say they work with three other different areas. So some of their data is coming from their website, some data they are purchasing from a third party, some data coming from their social media, and you collect all the data, but how does that data get into Salesforce, right? And again, in Salesforce, as we just discussed in our previous topic, that it should be very particular because each queue type should be defined. They have to have a very organized way of the data that only can be uploaded in Salesforce. So it's not going to happen that if you just upload the data randomly, it will just go to their locations by itself and set up. You need to kind of clean up the data, upload the data, and then it could be like a recurring process for some organizations that every time they receive a data, they need to update that. So a lot of things will be done by data management, and again, it can be a topic which can be utilized both when you're building a system in terms of importing the data, but also at the same time when you're managing a system as a Salesforce admin consultant, whatever role you have, because you are receiving data on a constant basis. So you need to be really good at understanding how the data needs to be managed, and in some cases, you also need to do backups if you are not utilizing an automated backup system. Moving on, we have record types. Again, this is a very particular type of thing. Just to give you an example, you may have obviously seen these different packages when you go there. So if you go to a website, they said, hey, we offer you silver, platinum, silver, gold, platinum model, right? And each of the silver, gold, platinum will offer different options and then different pricing, different options, different pricing, different options, different pricing. However, they all are related to the same information. So for example, if you're buying a gym membership, right? All of them are actually membership, right? But you can have silver plan, which will give you certain access and certain price. Gold plan, certain access, certain price. So technically, if you combine all the fields, they are actually represent the same object in Salesforce. However, some of them have less fields, some of them have more fields. So how you can differentiate that, how you add that or manage that data, that is a more typical, more kind of a one-step inside process where you can create different record types, and it will again depending upon the use case, it's a very utilized, one of a utilized feature that happens. So if you know how to do that, that would be required to know. Moving on is Salesforce business processes. So now business processes means that, okay, now you have the data, you have defined the security, everything is working and everything is in there. Now you need to make some processes, which means that, for example, if a new client enters, right, after 30 days, they should receive, right, as soon as a new client comes in, they will receive a welcome. That's a simplest example of a business process, right? Or if somebody purchased something, they will get a thank you email, right? With the invoice, right? Adding a little bit more complexity, right? Or as soon as a case is triggered from a customer, somebody says my service is not working, as soon as that gets into the Salesforce, right away, it will be assigned to the right person, right? How do you define that? How do you know which person should assign? All of that good stuff is discussed by a business analyst with the client. Hey, how your process works, how do you assign the case, what is your team structure looks like, if a case comes in, how do you normally define, forget about Salesforce, just tell me if you have a new case assigned today in an Excel sheet, how do you actually, let's say you have 10 different team members, how do you assign a case to a different team members based on what? Do all of them have the same expertise? Do you assign just by availability? Do you assign by region? Do you assign by a particular business area? Whatever that is. So as I said, the business analyst is a person who is asking all those questions, which I'm just saying it to you that, hey, what does it mean? Right now, we are not even talking about Salesforce. We are just understanding if you have somebody open up a case, what does it mean? Like, what is that process work like? Or if somebody requested for a refund, how does that process looks like? So if I send a request of refund of the product that I purchased, as soon as you saw it, now what will happen, right? Because you need to assign that case to somebody. Do you have a special team that can handle it? Do you have a special area? Do you differentiate by different regions? So on and so forth. So again, the person who is asking all those questions and kind of sketching it out and understanding all that, writing it down, creating a document, that is the person who will be defining the roadmap, and then it will be utilized by the it will be utilized by their technical team, and they will basically go ahead and create all that business process rules. Moving forward, then again, these are more like just for simplicity, defined into two phases. One is just a simple business process, and then we have some advanced business processes, and then it can become a little bit more advanced at how you can create. We have different things in Salesforce: flow, process builders, triggers, and so on and so forth. Again, then we go into that detail that how you can create those business processes. And then, last but not the least, is like a reports and dashboards, that how you can create reports, how you can create dashboards, how you get the information. Typically, when you build a system, customer will also define what kind of reports they're looking for, what kind of dashboard they're looking for. Again, just by the role perspective, business analyst is a person who understands those reports. He may ask, okay, can you share some existing reports with me, right? They can share, like, let's say, a couple of reports with you. Business analysts review it, see if it makes sense to that person. If not, they go back, hey, can you explain me these reports? What does it mean by, where are these fields? Okay, these fields, these three fields that you have in the reports, we don't even have in Salesforce. What does it mean? Did we miss it? Do we need it? We don't need it. All that good conversation is actually managed and owned by a business analyst. So if you really think about it, business analyst is a very critical role. Is not something where you are really good at conversation and you can just run that role. Not really. You need to be very analytical, because it's a very analytical position. And also at the same time, you need to have a basic Salesforce understanding. It would be ideal if you have more Salesforce knowledge, because then you can play a really, really vital role and you can be a super cool business analyst. But at least you need to know enough that you can able to understand that information from the Salesforce perspective. So with that, I can move on. So this is something to give you an idea that this is like a very basic Salesforce 101 looks like. So each of these topic is very enhanced and it takes time. But technically, if you, just to give you from my perspective, when I train these courses, and hopefully if we get a chance, I can maybe touch upon each of these topics in our future sessions. We may not able to cover as a training, because this is more of a mentorship program, not a pure training program. However, I will share a lot of different resources just in a second how we can do that. But technically, if you again, as I said, I always have milestones, goals. So this whole session that I used to train for all of these topics, the timeline for that was 10 weeks, which means that month and a half, and I only used to have one class of 3 hours. So technically, within 18 hours, I go through this whole course one time. Each person every week, for example, if they go through this 3 hour topic, which is typically like 1 or 1.5 of these topics, they need to invest about 10, 15, 20 hours to actually understand it. So you can multiply by, on average, each topic takes 10 hours, multiply by 10 is like 100 hours. So on average, I would say, just to be like throwing out a number, is like 100 to 150 hours if you spend, and which is like nothing if you think about if somebody is not working and they can spend like 40 hours a week. In a month, you have 160 hours. So literally not even month and a half, in 1 month, if you spend 40 hours a week, and again, you can do it in between jobs or whatever, you don't spend 40 hours, spend 20 hours. No problem. 2 months, right? Can I spend 20 hours? 10 hours. Okay, no problem. Whatever, 3 months, right? So whatever you can do it, or 4 months, whatever you can do it, whatever timeline you have, you can do it. But it's always good to know what kind of target you are setting up for yourself. So all of these things, once you go through that, they are covered under in terms of, because the next step for you will be two things. One is I will have my friend Hamza just joined, so I will hand it over to him in like literally 5 minutes, so he can show you how you can learn Trailhead, right? So Trailhead is a Salesforce platform where you can get in, everything is free. You can actually have a Salesforce environment, and it will actually have all the training material, each and everything, whatever I have shown over here is available in Trailhead explicitly, right? Very, very detailed. So every information, every training module, how to actually do it, you can actually setting up. So it's almost felt like you're working on a client setup. The only difference is this is not a live instance, but everything else feels like you are working on a real environment, right? So that's number one, which is Trailhead, and you can start getting different, different courses from there. If you do a certain courses, you can start getting points. Once you get points, once you get like, I think 100,000 points, you become a ranger. And between that, they have different milestones you can achieve it. So that's one way of doing it, which is you have to do that because that's necessary. However, on top of it, in some cases, somebody like me who also understand like a slightly like different perspective, a little bit more like a summarized way of it, because Trailhead is basically an unending place. It's like it's so much in there that if you spend like 40 hours a week and unlimited time, you can do it like multiple years, it's not going to finish. It's just so much stuff in there. Like it's unlimited thing, and they keep adding every time. So sometimes for me, again, as I said, it's a personal preference, is I also want to have like a little bit more defined course by somebody who have done it, do it, and I can follow that, and then I can use Trailhead as a practice. So my recommendation, and again, it may or may not work for everybody, it's just my personal recommendation, is you can take one of the course defined by somebody, and I'll share you in a second that what those course looks like. So they can have something like this, like how I used to do the training. So you exactly know the topic, you exactly know the things, and within Trailhead, you can go in and do the practice, and then you can go to the next, to the next, to the next, and you can keep a milestone that every week I need to do one topic, and it will be finished in 10 weeks, which means like which means like you can able to do in 2.5 months, right? So or if you can do faster or whatever, you can able to do that. So that's one way, and then you can practice in Trailhead. That's the ideal way. But if you just want to stick with Trailhead, that's fine too. So that's number one. Number two is, before handing it over to Hamza, I'll also share some of the resources that have outlined. And here are those resources. So first of all, I'm kind of building my own website, which is Unboxx Learning. So again, right now it's not ready yet. I mean, I haven't uploaded anything. So this is kind of a raw site with no material, but very soon, in probably 2 weeks or so, you can able to start seeing some of the courses, both paid, free, instructor led, all that good stuff. So I'm kind of building, and then somebody wants to help me as a contributor, as a content contributor or something of that nature, I'll leave my email as well. If you want to do some contribution, would be great. Obviously, I need some help to kind of build this platform in order to do that. So that's one. 1 second. I still see somebody's on. Okay. The second side is my YouTube channel. Again, is the same name, Unboxx Learning. So you can able to go at Unboxx Learning, and then again, I have already uploaded my previous session here, and even this session, if you have missed, or if you probably want to go through it again, is there. So if you see this Salesforce mentorship and training program, that was the first session, and today is going to be second session, and then I will be also start adding more and more content to my YouTube, like a short videos about roles, about things. So again, that could be also helpful for you. So again, the link for my YouTube channel is at the rate of Unboxx with 2x. Just keep in mind, not single. Unboxx Learning is the link for my YouTube channel. Again, one of the sites that I really like, and it's very, very helpful. And again, there are a lot of similar sites, YouTube channels like that, is Apex Hours. It's an amazing site. They have put a lot of effort. They have put a lot of content, and I obviously want to mention them. I think some of these guys have done an amazing job. So you can able to get a lot of Salesforce training within that. So if I go here, they have like a separate training for admin. They have training for a lot of different clouds and things of that nature. So just go ahead and find it. You can able to actually get a full training in Apex Hours, not just for admin, but for a lot of other clouds that Salesforce offers. So again, a very, very cool YouTube channel for getting a lot of information. And a lot of these people are also available on LinkedIn. You can go ahead and add them, follow them, and you can learn a lot of stuff for free. Another nice guy that I really like, and his name is Shrey Sharma. He actually his website or his channel name is Salesforce Hulk. So when I first started, like, I don't know, 5 years back, he was literally maybe under 20, maybe 18, 19 or something. And he used to do a very enthusiastic trainings and things like that. Although at that point in time, he was not something very senior or anything like that, but the way he explained things, at least for me, it was very helpful. And some of the concept, because I was also not coming, I don't had any IT background or a coding background. So for me, a lot of these things take some time to understand it. I need somebody to explain me in a little bit more layman language. And I remember from back in the days, and he's pretty successful entrepreneur now. He actually runs a pretty big Salesforce partnership company now, and I guess employ 200 people or so. So a very, very nice channel, and I really enjoy the way he talks and explain things. So just something to mention. Same thing, if you know the topics, and I can send you all of the list that I send you to via email. Again, if you're not registered to my Google Sheet, I'll share the link in a second on the chat, and you can make sure you register, because that way I have email of everybody. Because right now I also posted this on the LinkedIn, and maybe you have connected from LinkedIn, but I don't have your information. So if you want to receive the emails from me for these sessions, as well as from any of the material that I'm sharing, make sure to sign up for the registration form. In that way, I have your email and other information, and I can able to send you that kind of thing. And I'll share that in a chat in a little bit. Another, so these two are obviously free one, and again in Salesforce, in YouTube, it's just unlimited information. I'm sure other people may have a lot more of other folks who are doing it. So once you at least get a basic understanding, feel free to explore more people, but whoever works for you, that would be great. In terms of paid content, I really like this Focus on Force site, which is basically a site where you can actually purchase a course. Again, I can understand some people who are not from US. I think it's pretty cheap, like $20 or so. But again, if that is something that you cannot afford, that's fine. You can able to just go to the YouTube channel and learn it. But again, if you can afford $20, so if you can go to Focus on Force certification courses, like here, I think the first one is administration certification. And right here, you have a study guide. So this is study guide. It's kind of similar thing that I go through the whole thing, but actually with all the details. So you can just buy that. And once you buy that, you can go through the whole thing. I believe they said something about 70, 80 hours, which is very, as I said, for me, I think it might take more than 100 hours, but at least they gave you like a threshold. So you know exactly what it means. Okay, minimum this many, maximum this. So you should be very milestone based when you're studying. So you know you're not spending too much time or too less time. They also have practice exams. So once you cover the course, once through this or through YouTube or whatever, the next step for you is obviously you are doing Trailhead side by side. But as soon as you are done with the content one time, twice, whenever you feel like, right away, you need to go into the certification. As I said, the first certification, no matter what you are, role that you're interested in Salesforce, you have to do it admin 201, right? So for that, they have some practice exams, amazing resource. They can also give you like reasons for the right answer, things of that nature. And then once you go through their resources, then you can go to like a Google search and then try to find more and more exam questions so you can practice and see your and you can match your skill set. They also offer some instructor-led. Again, feel free to check them out, how they look like. And then at the last but not the least is the Trailhead, which I can kind of hand it over to Hamza. But before that, this is the link. You can go to the Trailhead and he will go through that. But here also, you can able to see the full exam guide, because if you start, somebody like me who need to understand the goalpost, what I'm going to do, like the minimal goalpost is not like the goalpost is not, oh, how can I get a job? That's not a goal if you're starting in Salesforce. Your goal is how I can get certified. That's your first goal, right? So if I want to get certified, I just want to go to the extreme and kind of step back from there. So I need to know, okay, what does the exam means? What are the different topics? So they just give you very detail of everything, what it means, what are the different areas that you need to cover, and you probably able to see some of these things which I already discussed, that what they cover, and then what is the exam looks like, things of that nature. So in that way, either while you're studying or in parallel, you just go through this information so you know exactly what are you targeting. So ideally, if you're starting in Salesforce, and if you have time, very easily, not easily, but basically you can able to do your first certification in 2 to 3 months without any question. If you're spending a lot of time into your other, like just finding stuff and things, you're probably end up wasting a lot of time. Just starting, if you're starting today, just target 2.5 months to become certified, and based on that, work backwards. Put up your schedule, put up your task for every week. What is the area that you're going to work in? What is the topic you want to cover this week? Practice it. Trailhead done. Okay, move on to the next one. Move on to the next one. So once you cover all the topics, probably in 2 months, less than 2 months, more than 2 months, then you can pause there. Now start jump into right away into there's like a question material, just to get an idea, because once you understand the question, you may need to go back and now look your information in a little different perspective, because now you need to pass an exam, so you need to understand how the questions are coming, and is that enough knowledge that I have. So you can start preparing for that, start practicing questions, and there is a lot of practice questions out there. You can find it. You can make different groups together who are working together. Maybe if one of your friend is already a Salesforce consultant, maybe you can get some help from them, whatever that may be. So this is what we have for today. Once I will hand it over to Hamza, he will go through the Trailhead piece, so you can understand what is Trailhead, where to start, how to log in, and all that good stuff. And then if he hand it over to me in time, I can probably have another 25 minutes for questions. I see a lot of questions in there, but we can take those questions and we'll close our session at 12:30 if possible, on time. The next session that I'm having is I will continue some of these things, but also I will probably try to bring in another of my friend from US, and we work together for some time, and he's an agile or a scrum coach, and he will probably take another 45 to an hour session next week to kind of guide you what SDLC looks like. How do what is a scrum, what does it mean, what are the different certifications you do, because I know a lot of you may have this particular question. I'll address it later on, that how I end up getting job. I have certifications, but I'm not getting job. I have no certification, but I'm not getting job. Whatever those questions, I'll try to address if I have some time available. So with that, I'll see if Hamza is there. Hey, Hamza.
Hello,
All right,
welcome
it's
everyone.
Walaikum salam. It's over to you, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the initiative. But to be honest, this is really. Let me try sharing my screen. Since I'm sorry, guys, just one moment. They have kind of changed something, so I have to press
And by
shift
the way,
and
once he's bringing up his screen, just to let you know, Hamza is one of the MVPs, which means that most valuable player in Salesforce for 2022. We also met in person a couple of weeks back in San Francisco at Dreamforce. Had some food together. Amazing person. Very, very knowledgeable in Salesforce. Initiated a lot of programs of his own, especially coming out of Pakistan. I know we have a broader audience here, but he has also initiated a lot of similar programs. He also do a lot of on-site things. So again, we'll definitely partner with him more in coming days. So giving back to Hamza just with a quick intro.
Oh, thank you for that intro. Assalamu alaikum, and really good initiative, Khurram, to be honest. I'm really happy to see many people have joined you, and I'm sure that they have learned a lot more things here as the starters. So thank you so much for everyone for joining. I think Khurram already talked more about it. He's been expert and doing a really great job with learning to training others and also raising the consulting world as well. So kudos to you. So thank you so much for joining. As Khurram already told about me, let me just quickly do a little bit as well. So my name is Hamza, and I'm from Karachi, Pakistan. I mean, staying in Karachi, Pakistan right now, and I'm one of the Salesforce MVPs I already mentioned. To learn more about MVPs, MVPs are annual recognition program from Salesforce, and they do recognize people who do stuff for the community, and Alhamdulillah, I'm one of them. And I'm certified 17 times Salesforce certified, including the application and system architect. And I have almost 8 to 9 years of Salesforce experience and 12 years of overall IT industry of experience. The screen that you're seeing right now is a very important website that you will be that you will be visiting more as compared to Facebook. And so this is trailhead.com. And before getting into the deep into it, I just want to show you what this website offers. Purim has already talked about what it does, right? It has most of the stuff that this is all about is free. You can see that it says get started for free, and it totally is free. You don't have to add any credit card or any other payment methods. That's just free, and it has a very depth, but not just depth. I mean, it has a depth from the start as well. So from the tip of the iceberg till the end of the iceberg, you can get all the content that you need. And I agree with the additional resources that I also mentioned regarding the YouTube videos, that Epic Hours. I can vouch for them. They are doing a superb job. I mean, Chaudhary. So coming back to the Trailhead point, so Trailhead is the option for you to learn Salesforce for free, and the way it has designed is the best thing that can happen to you. I mean, I wish that it could have been back in our times. So Trailhead is like the term comes from the trailhead, right? So how many people even know about trails? There's a mountain, the people do trails, right? So each trail, you learn something, and you go up to the top, to top to the mountain. This is the same the way it works as here on a trailhead as well. So it's baby steps, do step by step things, learn something new every day, keep doing it until you are expert of that topic. So this is that's the same there's the same concept. And I'm going to show it to you as well. I'm just going to talk to getting started with wrapping it up. um, so how it works that it will give you a little introduction of what Salesforce is, or what a topic that you are learning, right? So let's just learning about Trailhead. So what is Trailhead? How to get started with Trailhead? It will tell you something, and then it will ask you a little quick a couple of questions, to judge your knowledge, right? So once you pass this, the next thing you will do is learn more about it. Okay, what's Trailhead now? What are other things that you can do with your Trailhead? Once you pass this, there's going to be another set of questions that you will need to answer. And once you're done with that, that last module will have a really hands-on experience. They will give you the option to do it by yourself, and that's the best thing that I mean in a learning. Whenever who is a learner, hands-on is the one thing that everyone should know and should have before getting in. We do learn many things, but we forget because we didn't get a chance to hands-on. Hands-on is the best thing that can happen to you. So do it. Do finalize those modules and by hands-on. You have everything. It's like a stick to it. It's like a stamp. You have learned it thoroughly because you're now able to do it as well. So coming back to this website, so you can see the first. I'm going to go through the website first, and then we'll talk about more. We'll see how to log in, how to get started. We'll do one of the trails as well. And Khurram, I'll try my best to save a couple of times for you and all of you to ask any questions, and I'll love to answer them. So first thing we see that it's collective of the future. Perfect. The next thing we see that learn in demand skills. And on demand you learn it. There's the easy earn resume worthy credentials. So whatever trails you do, your trailblazers.me profile, like similar to what Facebook or Twitter profile, you have your credentials up in there. So people looking for you also, I mean, you already have the option to hide it, but the people who are looking to your profile will know how many modules you've done already, how many expertise do you have by these modules. So it's good to have. and so to connect to opportunities. Obviously, there's a many different events and happenings going on in the Trailblazers community through this website, so you can also get into that. Um, so there's also about Trailblazer community. There are multiple events that happens, and about this, there's a kind of forum that usually happens. So you can click on this and join as well. After login, you can simply click on it. The next thing is, learn new skills anytime, anywhere. So there's an option for you to also store on your phone. Trailhead Go is available on iOS and Android both as well. So it doesn't have to have your laptop. You can either use your phone to get in there. I'm not sure how you're gonna do the hands-on part, but regarding the learning phase, never gets stopped. So you can continue the learning phase in your phone on your phones. The next thing that this is a beautiful thing. So Salesforce has mentioned you that there are different roles available in Salesforce, and these are called career paths. I'm going to also show it to you on the website in a detailed view, but here you're just saying the basic of it. So if you are interested in being a Salesforce admin, this is the basic, this US data, the salary you can get. This is the annual growth, and this is the 4,070 jobs in 12 months in the last year. And these are a couple of details about it. So if you are interested in being developer, you can read more about it. And same goes on till the other roles. You can click on the roles, will get you to the career path page. There are more roles available. You can explore more. And I highly recommend everyone to go through this career page and learn more about it, because people come to me and I know that, okay, I want to be a developer. I want to be a business analyst. But when I say why do you want to be a developer? Why do you want to be a business analyst? The only answer I do get ambiguous answers. They're not clear because you never get been through all these career paths and choose the best one that suits you better. Then I recommend all of you to go visit these pages and learn more about different, especially how does a day look like for Salesforce admin or for a sales manager? How do they do on a daily basis? And match your skills with them and identify what's your career going to be. All right, going forward, I'm just skipping this one because we're going to go through later. Here we have in-demand skills. So if you want to learn about, let's say, for Lightning, we have filters here. If you click on it, you have same basic modules available. You're going to go through the modules, how it works and what's that. Basics stuff that is available is that you can bookmark them, you can favorite them, you can add to your list, and yeah, and it has the points here and also the estimated time that may take for completing this module. So that's the beautiful thing. That I mean, you can plan your day with respect to your modules that you're planning for. Let's just say you have a 1 hour and you are looking forward to do some lighting modules. Then you can choose, okay, within 1 hour what modules I can do. And I think this is the perfect one that you can need to do. But if you have 2 hours, you can choose also this one, the lighting experience features, which is kind of a 1 hour 40 minutes, and also has the more points. I'm going to also talk about the more points of what these points and ranks do in the Trailhead website. Same goes with other technology. Let's just say if you want to learn more about Google, you want to learn about GitHub, equality, app building. So there are different modules available, and that's not it. These are just some of it. If you go to the Learn tab back on the top, you will find many more available. Then we can see that there's earn resume worthy credentials. That's what I was talking about. I'm gonna go through and show you my profile to you, so you will get the idea how it looks. Also, we have these certifications. I know many of you are interested in completing any of these. So Trailhead will also help you to get into to earn your certifications, and that's how you do. So if you click on a Salesforce admin, this is a complete trail mix available. Trail mix is a combination of different modules that you need to do to be in a Salesforce admin. That's the best thing. You don't need to search for each different modules that may help you to being a Salesforce administration certified. You can just simply click on it and it will give you a complete trail mix, complete set of modules that you need to do before appearing for the exam. Same goes with the Salesforce developer. Same goes with technical architect, Salesforce marketer, Salesforce consultant, and many more. I think the consulting is just showing about the analytics, but there's a sales cloud, service cloud, community cloud, and etc. etc. There's also an option for you to explore other certification, and every certification has the same trails mixes. So if you are already a Salesforce admin, maybe if you are expecting to be a app builder, you can go through this website, look for the app builder certification, and follow the trail mix that's available for you. That Salesforce recommends. Then you have this join the community. This is the very important. I want you all of you to join this community because here we people from the whole world join and ask and suggest different options for any problem that you find. Let's just say many if you are struggling with something, just go there, post it, and you will find replies, the solutions, the workarounds within a minute from different people around the world. And you can also give back. I mean, whatever you have learned, you can help others as well. And networking, let get people know. And yeah, it's for free. Getting get us started. Coming to the top here, this is the tab I was talking about. So in the Learn tab, the first thing we see is the trails, then trail mixes. Trails are modules, kind of a modules, and the trail mixes is a combination of different trails. There's a Trailhead Academy. That's actually Salesforce Expert is a paid program which will allow you to run any of the training sessions that happens in Salesforce. This is the one that I was talking about, career path. Click on it, it will take you to the career path available and has most of the information. Let me do one more as well. These are projects. This will also provide you the, I mean, detailed projects, which is just a basic introduction. Okay, that's kind of a hands-on that you need to do, and your new dev org will be provided to you. You will need to hand. This is going to be another option for you to hands-on other than the modules. It's a complete project. So many people say, okay, I don't have any projects. I need experience. So this is the one that you need to go. This is the where you need to spend more time. If you need to learn experiences. Trail Live is also on-demand videos available, and the different modules. And you have the opportunity to create more. So going to the career path, I'm gonna do login afterwards, but I'm gonna show you the career path here. So in the career path page, you see there's a little introduction more about how many jobs available in this market and what's the estimate by 2024. There's going to be 4.2 million jobs. The new jobs will be created in the whole world, and it's also estimating the region where it's going to be more. So Asia, we have the opportunity to get more here as well. So this is about how the different roles earns. So you can choose, but don't choose the maximum one because developer I know there's more, but maybe you are a Salesforce architect, maybe you are an admin. So don't go on which way you are more interested, it more relates to you. Here are the one that I was talking about. So let's just assume that you are interested in being Salesforce administrator. There are more here. So that's for developer, architect, business analyst, marketing careers, sales. So maybe you know, okay, what marketing careers do? You just need to click on it. It will tell you more details about it. Coming to the Salesforce administrator, just click on it and it will take you to the page where there are more details on it. So this is a complete, impact about the basic generic Salesforce admin. There's a trailhead guide for you. There's the data that we have seen already. These are the skills that you need to be the system admin. That can you have at least 50% of the communication, 30% of sales stock stakeholder engagement, 35% of business analytics, 40% of business project management, and 25% of end user enablement. Same goes with the technical aspect. You should be learning. You should have the Salesforce platform knowledge of around 80%. So these are the things that I mean, and you click on it, it will take you get you more into the modules and stuff. And this is how the day in the life of Salesforce administrator works. In the morning they do this. In the mid morning they do this. After lunch they do this. So you get to know more about how if this job career path um, you can relate to is more you're interested in, and you can learn about the different stories about the different people who are Salesforce admin. They have different statements they have about more, so you can contact them, learn more about them as well. So I hope that you like it, and let's go back to the login and see that how it works for the actually to the hands-on. If you have any questions, please feel free to post on the chat, and I will try to answer them as we are going through. So if you click on it, login, it will take you to this page, and this is the first thing that you have option for Salesforce. If you already have a Salesforce DevOps or something, you can use this to log in, or you can use your email address, Google account, LinkedIn, Apple, or Facebook as well. Or if you are already have the credentials, you can simply log in. I do Google Sync here. I do have a Google Sync as well. I'll choose Google. I have different credentials, but I choose this one because this is the one I use for the Trailhead. And you can also have the option to link more your Gmail account. So it doesn't have to be this one. If I select the other Gmail account, it will take me to the same here. Okay. So you can see that I'm logged in now. I do have this green bar, which is showing me my progress. I'm sorry, I'm very poor with the progress, but yeah. So this is going to be showing me the progress of my rank, and you can see my points here and the badges. So let's just say it's showing me that only 30% left for my next badge. There's going to be double ranger. I'm a ranger right now. Um, and once I've done that, my rank will be changed to double star ranger. These are my badges, and these are the points. We're coming back to these points back again. So let's just go to the home page and see how it's going to show me for myself. So here you go. This is my profile. It's showing me, it's recommending me as well because they have the Salesforce and the Trailhead actually have seen my interest and the recent badges I've done, the models I've done. So now they're recommending me, okay, maybe you are also interested in completing these badges because that also relates to the learning path that I've been through. It's just showing me the same stats that I've been doing those. So as you can see, it's showing me my double star rangers. So maybe I just need to do a couple of 57 more badges, and I'll be double star ranger. Then on the left, I have the in progress modules that are pending that I've started and I will never get a chance to complete. It's just showing me the in progress at once. On the right hand side, we have the Trailblazer community that I was talking about. People do post their questions, and you have the option to go to the post and comment them like similar to Facebook. You have the likes and comments option, and you can if you can like if someone helped you, or you can also comment and give back to the community. That's in the in progress trails. These are the in progress modules, and these are the trails. Trails is a combination of modules, and the trail mix is a combination of trails. So it's a child grandchild relationships. So child, grandchild, child, and parent. So parent is a trail mixes. Trails are parent and the child, and the child are modules. So these are the same things. So also in progress trail mixes. These are the trending topics. These are like a hashtag that you also attach to your profile. And the newest badges that they're available now, I can do. And these are promote equality about similar to that I've done recently. The groups I have joined. These are also groups that I've mentioned, like a WhatsApp group. You can join different groups, and there are different communication that happens, and you get to know about what's going on with the different stuff. And these are my favorites that I have marked also star them to come back later and do it. So this is the home page looks like. Let's just show how the profile looks like. I'm clicking on here, and it's gonna take me to the profile. And in the profile, um, yeah, this is for me actually, for myself. This is showing me my profile. And there's another option. I remember there's an option for you. You can, if you click on it and open it incognito, that will show you how the others will see it. But it's gonna be similar. So here my name, my role, and different links that I have the option to choose. I have this pencil icon. I can add in any information, anything that I need to update in here. This is the URL that I can share with anyone, and they will be able to land on this page. On the right hand side, I have a trail band. Yeah, this is the Salesforce MVP section. Just recognize, okay, I am Salesforce MVP. Then there's a trailhead. It has showing me the badges, the points, and the trails. And I have the option to go back to trails. On the left hand side, we have the certification, the number of certifications that I have. And I think this one is the need to be maintenance. I'm going to talk about this later. So community tags, I can choose the tags that I need. These are the questions and answers that I've posted on the community. There are different answers that I've given and whatnot. These are connections. People know me. I'm been following people. These are the skills that I was talking about. The more modules you do, the more it categorized in terms of this is general platform knowledge I have. I spend like 36% of my whole knowledge to learn about Salesforce. This is about security. This is about the Apex. This is about this Visual Force. So, and then so on. So this is how people can learn more about you. Okay, you have this knowledge, so you don't have to create a resume. This is a kind of your resume. And these are the badges that I have done recently. After almost 243 badges total. So these are the badges that I've done so far. So this is it about the profile. Let's just talk about these badges and the points. So each module has some points. Actually, each trail is not a module, but each trail has some points and the ranks. So each trail you do complete, there's a new point added to it, a new badge added to it, and there also the sum of points added to it. The combination of points and badges makes you the rank. So if I click on the rank, it will show me which ranks their total rank. So if you start with 0 badges and 0 points, you have a badge called Scout. If you have one badge at 200 points, that's Hiker. I hope you they get the idea. The more you progress, the badges got updated. And recently in the Trailblazer ZTX this year, Salesforce has launched the last time it was the Ranger, the top one, but now they have started the double star Ranger, triple star Ranger, 4 star Ranger, 5 star, and all star Rangers when you pass through 600 badges and 300K plus points. So these badges are kind of representation of your learning skills. So the more spend time you spend, the more drills you do complete, the more higher ranks you will get. Coming to back to how to get started. So for the starters, you can just simple for search for Trailhead or maybe getting started with Trailhead. Just search for it, and this works amazingly. Like Google, just search whatever you want to do, and you will end up um, having different options. So you can see that I do have in a search history saying there's a trail available which says get started with Trailhead, which is based on 875 points. The next one is a trail mix by Jeff, and this person, I mean, this means that you also can create a trail mixes. The trail mix is a combination of trails. Remember, so this is created by Get Started with Trailhead. So this is just the one trail module. Just complete it, and that's it. But if you are more interested to learn more about different stuff, so you can click on the getting started. Let me just open it for you. If I click this and open a new window, so you see here that the first one is to get to know Salesforce, which is based on 600 points. The next one is Salesforce user basics, which is 300 points. Then the other module is accounts and contacts for Latin experience with 1000 points, and so on. So this person, I mean, this dev have created this trail mix for people who are getting started with Salesforce, and they should be doing these modules. So they have created a path for you. Instead of going to different trails you need to do, you can simply follow this path, drill trail mix, which is kind of almost 32 hours. 32 hours is around your 4 working days, so 8 hours a day. So if you spend 4 working days, you're gonna be around 32 hours. And within 4 or 5 days, you will be if you do all these trails 8 hours a day. But if you not do, maybe you're just spending 1 hour, 2 hours in a day, you will be able to do complete it within 15 days, which is within 2 weeks. So that's perfect for you. So you can get started with this one. Either you can go to the basic one that's getting started with Trailhead. We're gonna go through this one right now. Um, and yeah, so this is the first one. So this module has 4 or 5 steps. This is gonna take 5 minutes, then 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. The next one is digital playground management. That's also then there's the same 700 points and 10 minutes, 50 minutes, 50 minutes. Let's start with the first one, how it looks. So if I click on it, also although I have already completed it, but I can go back and do that complete again. So this is how this trail module looks like. So basic knowledge, okay. After completing this module, you will be able to, this is giving you a summary. Okay, after completing this module, what I will be able to. So explain what Trailhead and what is for, explain what the Trailblazer community is and who is for, and create your own Trailblazer identity. The first thing you learn today is welcome to Trailhead and Trailblazer community. In every, I mean, just kind of reading a book, just read about it, and you will end up getting to know about what Salesforce, what Trailblazer, what's community, how does it work, who are Trailhead and Trailblazer community for. These are the apps they have mentioned. There's a little story they try to add to, so you can relate to, you can remember. What makes Trailhead special, and how to get started. It's also showing you a couple of things that you need to do. And who me, what's hands-on challenge anyways, what are trailblazer background playgrounds. Playgrounds actually they have all that you can create through the Trailhead, and that's also free as well. So you will get the hands-on or Salesforce edition as well. They have like the added edition issue actually. And once you have completed it, you will see okay how many points you have learned, and yeah, so you can click on the view more module. That will take you to the next one. Here you go. So it's showing me okay now you have completed this. Now there are other things that you can do. Maybe the app governance and Slack. So Trailhead is not just about Salesforce. You can also learn about Tableau, Slack, and Einstein, and whatever you're thinking about. Just search here, and you will get the modules. Start here, and let me just show you how it works. So after reading all of that, now you have like a KBC program where you have the four multiple options. And you have the question asked. You just have to select the right answer and click on the quiz once you're done. Obviously, don't select random. Please read all of that and then answer it. Right? I hope that you get it. I get the idea, and I'm sure that you will be spending more time on the Trailhead and get to know more about it. Feel free to post any of your questions if you have, and let me know if there's anything that I want you to show me.
Hamza, just one thing, if you can, is I know you can also connect your Salesforce account,
Oh yeah,
or
yeah,
when
yeah.
you're doing the technical piece, so that would be super helpful.
Well, thanks for reminding that. As you've seen that when I was going to the profile, there's an also option for settings. So if you click on settings, remember I was talking about the Google account. So you can link multiple Google accounts as well here. And here are the options. So here on the connected accounts, you have if you have Salesforce different accounts, then you can link it through here. That's the way I have done for different my dev orgs. And this is the button that you need to do. Just click on it and it will take you to the Salesforce login, and you can log in here, and you can do login with Salesforce, any of these credentials as well. Same for the email accounts. You can link your many email accounts that you have, and that's also going to take you. Even you can use these email addresses to log in on your Trail mix or Trailhead, sorry. And these are social accounts, all those Gmail, and you can also connect your LinkedIn, Apple, Google, and whatnot through this. These are also the other option for email preferences. So which email, if you have more emails connected, so which email you want to choose for your daily, to get more updates about Trail Mix, and then the new updates available. If self Trail also reminds you of your pending, in progress Trail Mix that reminds you, okay, there are many in progress modules available pending. You should go and spend some more time here. And these are the address information that's also written to you. I'm gonna keep it here, and you can also go through any of these as well. So connected accounts, click on it, it will take you right to here. The next option here, I think that's it. So profile and the settings, both are configurable easily, and this is also showing you how you have logged in today. And don't worry about it. Your Trail account can be linked with many email addresses. So if you assume, many people ask, okay, I I have one A account and I started some modules. Now I have a B account. I also have some modules. So what I should do? You should link both of them. So all your completed modules will be merged as well into one, as far as I remember. Khurram, am I missing something?
No, I think that's pretty helpful.
Awesome.
Cool. So thanks, Hamza, for going into the detail of the Trailhead. And just for the audience, basically, Trailhead is probably your first stop when you're starting Salesforce. So this will, as Hamza mentioned, give you everything, not just the technical content, but also everything around it. Like if you have question around different positions, which I kind of explained you earlier, but you can able to get into Salesforce and get a little bit more deep dive into what each role looks like in Salesforce and maybe explore more, because I just touch upon just few critical ones, but there are many, many more different roles that can be adapted. Same thing, you have a lot of technical knowledge that you can learn. However, just one piece of advice is, because as I mentioned earlier, the trail head is very engaging, involving. The only drawback is sometimes you lose track of time, which means that I know people who are spending a lot of time in Trailhead, but they kind of not doing their certifications, or they're not doing other things which are required to actually launch your career and get a job. So just doing the trailhead may not be sufficient enough to find a job, and that's my next topic is. But before that, I see there's one question. Is there any resource to get a real-time experience or end-to-end project in Salesforce? So first of all, as Hamza mentioned, that when you are working in Trailhead, you are actually setting up a lot of these things that you will be setting up in the real environment, which is like a dev environment you have. And it's a very, very similar, and to be honest, it's exactly the same thing, is just not deployed to a live environment. So it's very similar to that. So if you're starting right now, then that is the way to go. Now, let's say you already done that. Uh, and if you want to do another project of that nature, you can easily able to come up with any business process, and you can define a project that you want to do, and you can able to see if you can do it end to end. Anywhere you're stuck, you can go back to Trails, you can ask the community, things of that nature. So that's another way of building a project on your own, and do that. You can also, if you're working in a group of friends, you all can come up with a project, and you can come up with any project. Again, you can go to YouTube or Google and find out different business processes. If you don't have any starting ideas, you can come up from there and do that. On top of it, another way of getting that information is if you're able to become an intern, or or find a job. Now, I can talk a little bit about that while we have another 15 minutes. Is what are the steps that you need to do in order to actually land a job, because that is the main purpose. You are here and you are learning Salesforce because to find a job. So the trailhead, the learning portion is the starting point, right? And the deeper your understanding is, the higher you go. So think about, if you want to build a house of a single story, you may not need a very deep foundation, right? Just a little bit of foundation, you're good to go. But if you need to build a Burj Khalifa, right? You need a very, very deep foundation, very strong, and you need to even think about it. How do you really manage the winds, the X, Y, Z? So you need to build a very strong foundation. So one piece of advice is, when you're learning Salesforce, you can always make sure that you can have a good foundation. Whatever topic you're learning, give a good uh, um, peace of mind or peace of heart to that particular item, so you really understand it. A lot of times what happens is we just want to go quickly, just cover it, just land a job, and then I'll learn. This may work in some cases, but because you're not building up your foundation strong, you cannot go too high, right? So if you want to go high, and if you want to become a senior consultant or an architect, make sure whatever you are doing, do it with a deep intent of understanding it thoroughly. Because if you do something and you don't really understand, if somebody asks you what you have done and can you explain that, or if you have a different scenario of doing the same thing and you cannot able to understand it, then it's going to be a very difficult learning process and moving forward in your career. Because Salesforce or any other technology these days, you are building upon your initial knowledge and then you're going more advanced levels. But if you do not able to learn from, your foundation is very weak, or you don't put enough effort in there, then you cannot go too far or too high, basically. So that's one piece of advice. Now, coming back to what you need to do is Trailhead, or the other courses that we just talked about could be your learning path. Once you do that, you are building your Trailhead profile, as Hamza mentioned, along the way. But you need to focus on getting that actual certifications, because that is something that consulting firms require, and that also give you an edge over other folks who are applying for the same job. So if I'm also in many positions, I hire a lot of people. So for example, we hire intentionally or unintentionally, because it's not necessarily make a difference all the time. But if somebody has 10x certification and the other candidate has no certification, or maybe two certifications, just by looking at the certification or resume, there's a natural bias towards that person who has like 10x, right? So you already got like one unintended point scored in my head that, oh, wow, he has like 10x certifications. It is possible that person who has just a very limited certifications, he might be more technical savvy, but that I will learn once I go through the interview. But as a first impression, I can able to just sort of value this person more. So when you are going for interviews, and in most of the cases, especially for the first job, most of your peers who are gonna go against the same position may have kind of similar knowledge plus or minus, right? Everybody may have learned through Trailhead or some courses. Somebody may have done internships that will take them to a higher point level, right? Maybe have more chances of scoring the job. Then if you have more certifications, some sort of experience, and then obviously when they go through the interviews, you can defend the interviews better, and they will obviously judge different skill sets, communications, analytical skills. You saw the list what Hamza was showing. More you're scoring, your potential will become higher. So keep in mind that Salesforce is not as open as it used to be like 5 years back, which means that it's not something that if you can just jump in with a couple of badges and you can score a job. Not anymore, because now it's been, the word is out. Everybody knows about Salesforce. A lot of people are applying for the positions. So in order to score a job, you need to invest your time, and also need to invest in certifications and in learning process. So if you can do some of these things, and when you are ready for the job and your resume is not purely empty, but it has certifications, it has some experience, or you are trying to get some experience, but you have your good profile, you have some other certifications that we talked about, not just Salesforce, but for example, as I mentioned, in Salesforce, you're working in a SDLC environment, which means that software development lifecycle. In most of the SDLC now, you also need to know different tools that how they manage. For example, if you are working in an environment, different companies use different tools to manage the day-to-day work, right? And they are some of the most popular tools are Trello, Jira, things of that nature. No? So now if you have like a small training on Jira, and if you have some sort of certifications, and if you can throw in your resume or profile or LinkedIn, and if I see that, I was like, oh, we use Jira, this person already knows Jira. Okay, one more point, right? Also, as I said, for example, most of the companies, they follow Agile or Scrum process. If you have that certification, which is, I would say, comparatively pretty easy to get, if you have like a Scrum certification or Agile certification or a Scrum Master certification or some sort of other certifications, if I see that, I was like, wow, this person has this additional knowledge already. Oh, you know what? He can maybe play a dual role of like an admin and Scrum Master, or be a Scrum Master, whatever that may be, right? Same thing, there are it's a very latest one, which is a certification in Salesforce called Business Analyst certification. So now if you have admin, on top of it, you have business admin certification, and I'm looking for a business admin person, and I'm open for a new hire, guess what? That will increase your chances. So if I have 10 different resumes, and if I'm going through each of them, and I need to select top 3 resumes for the interviews, and I obviously I'm not talking to anybody yet, so guess what? Which of those 3 resumes will be picked up? You can guess it. That whoever have the most, heavily founded in terms of different aspects of which is already done. So I can pick up those people who have already done some things which could be helpful for me, and I don't need to train them on them. So that's something on top of it, like what you have Salesforce. Within Salesforce, you have higher number of certification, increase your chances. So getting a job is not as simple as, hey, I just go through a couple of trails and can I get a job? If you're super lucky, sure, you can get it. But because of the intense pressure, and as you know, the things the way they're going right now is not a rosy situation, right? So we have to be very realistic what's going on. So, but again, as you know, that Salesforce is being utilized across the board, so they are not like dumping everything. They still need Salesforce consultant. They're still developing. License have been sold, so they still need people. There are a lot of jobs right now, even though the things are kind of getting tight, but there are a lot of jobs. So it means that when things are tight, you need to have a little bit more credentials on your behalf so you can able to score jobs. So as much experience as you can get in terms of learning through Trailhead, getting internships, working for volunteers. So let's say if somebody is trying to get an internship, not getting it with an actual partner or a thing, you can also try to build relationship with nonprofits, right? And if you doesn't matter where you are, a lot of across the world there are nonprofits across the board. So if you can start just finding out the nonprofits who may be using Salesforce, you can offer your voluntary services that, hey, I can work for you as a volunteer. I have Salesforce admin certification. I'm a Salesforce consultant. I just need to gain some more experience. I can work voluntary for 3 months or whatever. In a lot of cases, if you work well and if you show them your progress, they may able to offer you full-time positions, right? Or convert them into a paid positions. But let's say you don't get it, but by the end of 3 months, you have now a real life experience, right? So you need to be a little bit more innovative. You need to be a little bit more creative in terms of finding job these days. LinkedIn is one place that I personally, in terms of all social media, as a professional person, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. I build relationship. I post a lot of information. I follow a lot of people. I try to I try to use it as much as possible. And to be honest, when I started my career in Salesforce, it helps me to get some of my initial jobs, to be honest, because I'm able to build relationship with different recruiters, different people. Some of them help me in terms of what should I learn. Like if some of you may be connected with me or Hamza through LinkedIn, that's how you know me. That's how you know that I'm offering some trainings, or if Hamza is doing some trainings, that way you can learn more and more people. So you get to know more people, more resources. At the same time, you're also able to know more people in terms of recruiting agencies, different companies who are hiring, different events that you can attend, build relationships. So you have to be a little bit more innovative in order to find a job, especially when you're entering into the field. And keep in mind, I would still feel like finding job in Salesforce or IT is way much easier compared to any other profession. Like if you become a doctor and you need a residency, you have a very limited options. You have a very high compete rate. And again, it's not as many jobs available. Or if you're a lawyer, and you just completed your law and you want to become a lawyer, it's like it's unimaginable competition, right? You don't even know, compared to if you are compared with the IT, or if you become a nurse and you need to get your first job. It's so much competition. So every field has the competition, because again, it's a world we live in. Everybody need a job, and the company need folks who actually able to come in and just do from job from get go. So a lot of companies, obviously, they don't have intern programs, junior program, but a lot of companies does. So as quick as possible, you can learn the real life experience. That would be helpful. Any other question?
Just want to add in here that there's
Yeah,
a
go
one
ahead.
brother asked me about are there any opportunities that link cybersecurity role with Salesforce? Uh, uh, Cybersecurity doesn't exist in Salesforce, but it with a name, different name, self security and the basic security. And I haven't seen any job related to just spot security, but for the maybe the enterprise may have some of it. So it's worth the opportunity, worth to spend time and Google it, and maybe you'll also find some of couple of the jobs available on LinkedIn. So you just try not to go with this name that is market typical, let's just say cybersecurity. Cybersecurity doesn't, I mean, with the name cybersecurity, that's not in Salesforce, but security there is. So don't go, with the search, but with the hardcore words, just type security or anything else that you're looking for, and I'm sure that you'll find several couple of jobs available.
Cool.
And I completely agree with the points that Khurram have made. So yeah, perfectly everything he has said you should be going through, and feel free to reach out to me or Khurram or any other person who you find mentor or helpful. Feel free to do that. It's better not to do anything.
Yeah,
I think there's
cool.
one comment as
Go
well.
ahead. So there's one comment here, quick question: how to understand the business in any organization, like any company that is product based, or what things need to, so the Salesforce admin can make things easy and perfect. So, and like literally just to summarize it, what you need to do, or what you can do for any company, is understand the business process. And what it means by business process is how the interaction with customers starts, right? What is the first thing they do? How do they interact with customers? So do they interact or add a customer through calls? Do they make a calls, like a cold calls, and then see who is converting? Do they get a list of customers to their Facebook page. If, for example, their customer goes to their Facebook page and then requests a service or a product, or they actually buy cold leads or whatever. So how do you get the customer? How do you interact with the customer? Because how do you get the list of customer? That becomes like you need to input that information into Salesforce, right? So you need to have sort of a lead section in Salesforce. Then how to interact with them? Like sales people are making calls, or what is their process? How do you know that if they're converting from one stage to another? Maybe some people will respond, some not. What is their way how they do that? And once somebody respond and they close a deal, how does that look like? Where do you log the opportunity? How do you close it? And then, so on and so forth. So you need to just basically, when I say process, it means that how do you, it's basically apart from Salesforce, just how the business runs in a company, whatever that company is. If it is a marketing company, how they find their customers, what service they provided, what will happen at the end of the service, in the service, who are engaged, who need to see the information. If I'm a CEO of that company, I need to know how many leads are in the pipeline, how many are at different stages. All of that things you can understand from any company that either you're working or you're intending to work or things of that nature. A simple process could be just a regular school, right? So in a school, you have a students who are admitted. What is that process looks like, right? How do you do that? And then you assign different classes. How does that look like? What other information do you get? How do you build a fee structure in Salesforce? How do you build like a teacher infrastructure in Salesforce? So imagine if a school start using a Salesforce, how does that looks like, right? So you can build your own project around, okay, let me build a school system. Back in the days, I know when we doing some basic coding stuff, when I was in school, we used to do like build a library system, right? You can build a library system. What does it look like? If you have a library, you need to have a record of all the books and then submission to the book and receive of the book. Somebody's late, somebody needs to pay something. How do you build a system? If think about your local shop, right? If you have a local shop wherever you live, if you want to build a Salesforce system for him, what does it look like, right? How he source the product, how he sells the product, how he keep the inventory. If he want to check if how many things he's running out of, is there a way you can do that? Is there a way you can connect whatever you're selling directly to your Salesforce? Because there are a lot of hardware interfaces available, so you can connect your scanners, and then that information can be plugged into Salesforce through different APIs. That information can update in your system. So let's say you have a product where you have 10 pieces of that or 100 pieces of that product. Every time you're scanning and that product is going away, you put a trigger in Salesforce that as soon as like there is a 10 or less number of product left, you can add that product into a low inventory order, or send an email for a low inventory, or send a email to the product person who can go ahead and start putting a price for that. So anything and everything, any business where you have customers, where you have products, where you have a system, you can build a Salesforce. Let's say somebody who runs a real estate business, right? Let's say you have from Pakistan or India or US or whatever. Real estate runs across the board, right? So if you have like a real estate system, how their system works. Let's say you want to automate the whole thing into Salesforce using a Salesforce dev version, and if they really feel like this is something cool and it's very helpful, you can go with the cheapest license available, and you know what, I can automate your whole system using Salesforce with just one license, and you can use it, and you can show them the benefits that they can get, because now they know exactly what's going on with each of the properties they need to sell or they need to buy, and they need to see if they have multiple people who are selling those properties, like salespeople, they know who's doing what, how many. So I mean, it's like limitless. So any business that has customers and any service or product, or even like government sector, when they serve their citizens, everywhere they are all customers, and anywhere you have a customers, you need a CRM system. So with that, I think we're pretty close to our close time is 1 minute over, but any last minute questions do you guys have? And again, I'll post this recording of this session. If somebody joined late or may not able to join, guys can go through that. Thanks Hamza for joining in and showing how the Trailhead works. And again, I'll continue this session. Probably next session, I'll see if I can bring in a Scrum person, an expert who can define a Scrum process, and that could be helpful for somebody who is a little bit more experienced already in Salesforce, or even if who is starting, and that can be an add-on certification or knowledge for them, and they can obviously able to utilize them. All right. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a good rest of the day or night. And we will see you guys next week. Same thing, I'll probably post the topics for the next week on my LinkedIn, as well as anybody who signed up on the Google Sheet for registration. I'll send an email also for the topics. And again, you don't need to join every session. I'll anyways, post the agenda. So if agenda matches with you, it's always good to be joining. And in that way, you can able to ask any questions if you will, and we will try to answer that. Hopefully I'll get some other people who can help you guys. But again, this is kind of a mentorship program where we will try to have you guys train into Salesforce and get you enthusiastic, because as I said, it's a life-changing platform, at least for me and a lot of folks that I know of. They change their life, their financial situations, and they have a new perspective. A lot of people I know, they have migrated from their countries to other countries where they have higher opportunities. People have financially become independent. They have switched their careers, which for whatever reason they want to switch from. So to be honest, it's for me, I have seen this personally as a first-hand experience that it does change my life. And I also experienced a lot of people firsthand that Salesforce also changed their life. It doesn't matter which stage of your career you are at. You could be starting your career right now. You could be in the mid-career like I was. 5 years back, I was in exact middle of my career. I think I mentioned multiple times I have a wireless background. And then either if you are late in your career, it does not really matter. The only way to successful is just to focus, persistent, follow, and obviously you need to do your job. And then once you're able to be good at it, obviously finding a job is become easier and easier for you once you become more and more knowledgeable in particular areas. All right, Hamza, any last words?
I'd like to thank you. Actually, that's a great initiative. I'm sure that it is going to save a lot more time for different people to getting started. And also, the people will learn many more things here. So I'm always available. So let me know, and I can help with with my job with anything.
All right. Thanks a lot, Hamza, for joining. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining. And we will continue and have a good rest of the day or night. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you.